Okay, that's some good stuff. I've enjoyed those. I mean, we might not get to cover them off on another show, but send more in if you've got more, because that's really fun. And if we can't cover them off on a show, we'll put them in a blog post or something like that. Right, I've got a few little bits of admin to pick up before we move on to the meaty news section, Sarah.
Yep.
So, I'm going to mention the grand final meetup, because last year we did a meetup at the Dockyard down in Media City, and that would have been the destination this year too. However, we've become real big fans of the women's game on the Super League pod, and it's the first time that the women's competition is branded the Super League this year. We know that the final's going to be a 1 p.m. kick-off at the Manchester Regional Arena out near the Etihad campus, and so we're going to do both grand finals as SLP this year, and I think at least 3 of the regular hosts, me, Tim and Alan, will be along for this, and whoever else wants to come along. But basically the meet-up is going to be at the Manchester Regional Arena for the women's grand final. The championship final starts at 11. Then the grand final of Super League starts at 1 o'clock. So any time from around about 11ish to midday, we should be around there. And then we'll move to the grand final fan park, because we just don't have time in between to get to another venue to add in a drink there. It just becomes a bit convoluted. So the grand final meetup will be literally at grand final events. It will be at the women's grand final in the afternoon. Then we'll all tram it across Manchester together and go to the fan park.
Wearing t-shirts, I heard.
Sorry?
Wearing your SLP t-shirts, I heard.
Well, if Wigan get to the grand final, I'll be wearing Wigan tops.
No commitment to the cause there, Mark.
I feel like I show enough dedication on a weekly basis, Sarah.
All right.
Thanks for letting me off with that. Okay, but if Wigan aren't in the grand final, I will be wearing my SLP t-shirt, of course. Right. The other thing to mention is it's that time of year again. We're going to talk a little bit about the awards season kicking off proper in the official awards. But the awards that really matter are going to be kicking off as well. The 2018 Super League Pod Listener Awards, or more affectionately known as the Sloppies, and also the SLP Listener Dream Team nominations. They're going to be going live very soon. We're just tweaking the Sloppies to put in a new section in there where we can vote about some things that kind of sit outside of the Super League sphere, so that we can get a little bit more appreciation going into things like the women's game, the lower levels of the game in the Championship and League One, and also maybe something about the community game and the match officials and other things we want to give some love to. So we're just adding that into the form, and then that form's going to go live. The Dream Team nominations form is technically already live and available for you to vote on. For anyone whose team's season has finished, then please do go and check out these links for these things. That'll be in the episode post blog. I'll get the Sloppies one done in time as well for when I put the blog post up, which will get superleaguepod.com. It'll be episode 201, whatever we decide to call it. And then, yeah, the season. So you're going there. Obviously, I'm talking more to the people whose seasons have finished, because we want to hear your views on the season that your team has had. And obviously, it's easier to do that once your team's season is completed. So, 8 Super League clubs have had their seasons finished. Let's say 3 championship clubs, because who gives a shit about the Championship Shield? Not even enough players will be on it to put 2 sides out. So 9 of the championship club seasons have finished, and let me just think, 12 of the League One club seasons have finished. So you can start getting onto that and do that. The season awards and review and season review episodes, they're going to take place this year after I'm back from America at the end of October or start of November. I'm going away for 2 weeks after the grand final, and then when I get back, that's when we'll start putting these shows together. As always, we'll want your audio reviews as well of your side season. So a quick recap, about 2 or 3 minutes recorded on your phone or what have you, then emailed over to superleaguepod@gmail.com about how the season went, who were the stars, what are your kind of abiding memories of the season, whatever you want to tell us and the other listeners really about what you've made of your team's campaign. I think what I'm going to try and do this year as well is I also want one fan from each Super League side to join me for the show to go through their side's info. So anything we get in for each particular side, I want to have a chat with someone about all of that. About 10-minute slots for each one. So if you want to put yourself forward for doing it for your team, get in touch through the normal channels, superleaguepod@gmail.com, at superleaguepod on Twitter, or facebook.com/superleaguepod. Send a DM on those platforms or an email, and then you can put yourself forward to do your side. So that's the most of the admin. One final bit of admin, Sarah. I want to say happy birthday to Phil Nadin.
Yes,
the Hip Flask hero.
Yep.
So happy birthday, many happy returns to Phil. And that is the feedback and shout-outs and rule changes section covered this week. We're now going to move on to a very full news section with lots of listener feedback on this. Guess which news story they wanted to talk about the most, Sarah? We'll find out after this.
So then we have a break here where when Mark puts it all together, the music's on then, and then we're going to...
News now, sponsored by rundom.run and Little Warden. Every year, Dom does stupid runs in stupid costumes to raise money for Martin House, and this year is like no other. Little Warden is going to match any donation by the SLP listeners to rundom.run. Just leave hashtag SLP family in the donation comment. Last we saw Dom running, he was wearing his incredible Disney princess suit, and I think he's got more costumes lined up for his next runs, which are in a couple of weeks' time over in Florida this time. So I believe I just miss him. I think he's there the weekend after I'm there, I believe. But he's doing great work, so please do back him. Go to rundom.run to do that. News, the first one, there's so many stories, Sarah. First one we're going to start with is St Helens fullback Ben Barber and hooker James Roby and Wigan back rower John Bateman are the three nominees for the 2018 Steve Prescott Man of Steel Award. In addition to the main award, Castleford Tigers halfback Jacob Truman, St Helens prop Matty Lees and Leeds Rhinos fullback Jack Walker have been confirmed as nominees for Young Player of the Year. And then also Castleford duo Georgia Roach and Tara Jane Stanley and Leeds' Lois Forsell have been shortlisted for the Rugby Football League's first ever Woman of Steel Award. So we've got a few bits of feedback to run through on that. I'm just going to flag one thing before I do. The Young Player of the Year award, it appears that they're going for younger people now. Like last year it was won by a 21-year-old. These guys are all younger, so I'm not sure what the rules are around the Young Player of the Year award. But anyway, all viable.
Old that the young players are getting younger.
No, because like I say, it's been won by lots of 21-year-olds previously, but these kids are like 19, so we'll see. Anyway, we've got some views in. Do you want to give us the first one of those, and we'll rotate?
Yeah. Sorry, I dropped my piece of paper on the floor. POB 1976, Paul says, 3 players that deserve to be nominated. McShane was unlucky to miss out. Think Barber will get it for his early games, but think Bateman deserves it after a great season.
And Carsten, similar-ish theme, says, where is McShane? Well, Carsten and Paul, McShane may well be one of the options you can vote for on the Super League Pod Player of the Year. So keep your eyes peeled for that. But of course the other 3 are totally valid nominations. I think that's why McShane is not there.
Yep.
Just a bit unlucky. What did Tom have to say?
Tom Andrews says, Roby for me, top class player, seems a great bloke too. Someone you never see bad press about and someone for kids to look up to. Also has been my dream team points machine for 7 seasons. Ha ha.
Yeah, that's true. Lord Wallace Frogmore, actually just before, he was the best Dream Team Player of the Year after he came back from injury, because his value was lower because they'd based it on how many points they'd got the year before. So what a steal he was that year. That was a magical year. I'm sure Tom was on that just as much as I was. Lord Wallace Frogmore said, "Why name anyone else? It's Benny B's world and we just live in it."
Spenner83 said, should be ideally given to the guy who's played the most games for West Wales Raiders this year.
Do you know what? There might be an opportunity on the Super League Pod Awards for you to vote for people like that who've kind of sacrificed Spenner. So keep a lookout for that kind of thing, because they've done it tough, those West Wales Raiders, but it's not what this award's about. We've got 2 views in on the Women's Player of the Year. So Dr. Bob Phillips says, bit disappointed Preem and Beavers aren't on the shortlist. Preem for playing and Beavers for both a half-decent playing job and being bold enough to ref. And then Tim G Radio said, Forsell for me, real heartbeat of her side and consistently excellent in a very good Leeds side. Will be interesting to see how they cope in the next 2 games without her. He must have sent this in before last weekend's game. He doesn't mean that they're going to win the semi-final and be in the final. Don't take offence to that, Cass fans. He sent this in before that. So, do you have any view? Let's start with Man of Steel. Where would your vote go?
I don't know. I half have a feeling that Roby will get it, just because everyone loves Roby. I'd like it to go to John Bateman, because I think he has been consistently good throughout the season.
Anyone other than McShane you think's missing off that shortlist, maybe? Stefan Ratchford won the Albert Goldthorpe medal for the most points given to him by press for Warrington games in the League Express. Another name, maybe?
Possibly, yeah.
But Ben Barber's been the standout fullback, hasn't he, over the whole piece, even though other fullbacks have been outstanding as well this year.
I think for me, it's disappointing given what Barber's, what first third of the season was like. The fact that it's only really then the last 3 weeks that he's come back to anything like that standard.
Yeah, I think up until just after that Cass Cup game when he was outstanding, I think up until that he was by far and away the best player in the competition. And then there was a period, wasn't there, of 8-10 weeks where he wasn't the best player in the competition. And I kind of think that's what plays into, for me, Roby is who I'd go for of this shortlist, because I kind of think Roby has done a bit of what both the other 2 people have done. Roby's been the best player in the competition for periods, which I'm not sure John Bateman has for long periods, but Roby's also been very consistent for the entire season, apart from the 3 games that he's missed recently, like John Bateman has, whereas Ben Barber hasn't been that. So I think Roby kind of is the best of both of them put together, and that's why I'd go with him. But you'd go with John Bateman. That makes me happy, Sarah. Makes me think maybe other people will too. Young player.
Lees has got a bit of a dirty tendency, hasn't he? I'm not a big fan of him.
That ruled him out of our shortlist for the Super League Pod Young Player of the Year. I think the sendings off and the cheap shots, particularly that one against Salford, was so fucking nasty and unnecessary. Jack Walker kind of, for me, suffers for the fact that he was in that lead side.
Well, out of those 3, I think realistically Truman, but I don't know. I just feel that there must be better young players, but I'm struggling to think of them.
Truman's been fantastic for all but that first part of the season when he played at fullback, when he was so. But he's been fantastic, and for Cass to finish where they finished this year without Luke Gale for most of the year, Jake Truman is a big factor in that. Truman's the only one of those who's going to be on the Super League Pod shortlist. That's a bit of a spoiler for everyone. Women's Player of the Year, obviously Hull FC's women's side are in the lower division, aren't they? The Championship. So I'm guessing you haven't caught much of any of these lasses in action.
No, I mean, I saw a bit of the cup match that they played, but not enough really to be able to have an opinion.
I'm very disappointed that 2 Castleford players have got in there and no Wigan players have got in there, because Wigan have finished second in the table, been remarkably consistent, and I would say there's been 3 or 4 standout performers all season long for Wigan, from the very first game to yesterday's game, and two of those in particular, Rebecca Greenfield at fullback and Rachel Thompson, who's played a little bit of loose forward, a little bit of back row, and kind of mainstay in the centre in the back end of the season. She scored a hat-trick this weekend, but that was after the shortlist was announced. But those two are unlucky